Hey YouTube, you're about to watch an exchange I had with Pak and Nathan recently. Pak is the founder of the Package Programming, and I've been collaborating with him and his athletes for a few months now. Nathan is one of his athletes that just finished the 12-week endurance cycle on the bike. So we're going to talk about the results that he got and what he's going to do next. So without further ado, here's the conversation.
Recording in progress.
I'm keeping that
All
in
right.
the time. How you doing, boys?
Doing good.
Yeah, actually very well. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Before we get going and talk about progress on the bike, I'll let you guys quickly introduce yourselves. Pak, I'll let you start.
Yeah, I'm Pak, owner of the Package Programming, and a good friend of Sean since I would say about a year now. And I'm specialized in doing CrossFit programmings, helping athletes to achieve their goals when it comes to competing on an international level. And basically everyone who wants to stay fit and wants to progress in the sport of CrossFit, I'm their go-to guy.
Awesome, man. Nathan?
Yeah, perfect. Now, well, I'm Nathan. I do CrossFit for 5 years now. I'm 20 years old, coming from the Netherlands. And yeah, I love to work out, to train. All my life I have trained. I did soccer for 6 years, and now I'm fully in the CrossFit thing.
That's awesome. So I was lucky
Great
enough.
that he never mentions that he's actually my athlete.
Right, that's good for the context of the video. Nathan works with Pak. How long have you guys been working together?
Almost a year now.
Yeah, I would say almost a little bit less than a year. I would say roughly 10 months now.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So we were lucky enough to work together. Was it February? I came over to Germany, and Pak, we did some testing with your athletes. You also did a fantastic video of that little testing session. So I encourage people to go and check out the video that you put together. And so after the testing we did, you guys started following the training on the bike. And we're here to discuss specifically Nathan's progress. So Nathan, like you said, you have a background in soccer. You had one of the best test scores of a CrossFitter on the bike already coming in. So already a really good level of conditioning. Let's talk about the test first. How did the test go for you, and what did you make of the information that we got out of the test?
Yeah, well, 12 weeks ago I did my first test. My average 20-minute watt-hours was for like 3:12. And yeah, 12 weeks later and a lot of biking sessions later, my average test was 3:46. So yeah, very amount of watt-hours is higher. So I'm very happy about that. Yeah, how does it felt? Actually, pretty good. The last one, I biked a lot, so yeah, so it helped me to push at the end. And I could manage the same wattage for the whole 20 minutes in the last test, and I couldn't in the first. So that was the biggest difference, I think.
So in the retest, you were able to hold that power the whole way through?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you start higher on the first test and then go down a bit towards the end?
Now I started a little bit lower on the first test, and then I went up every 4 minutes. And on the last test, I stayed the same for like minute 1 until minute 20.
That's pretty impressive, because 20 minutes at the same power output, especially those power outputs, is
that's just insane.
Yeah.
A question for me: how did you feel about your first 20-minute test? Do you feel like you had a little bit of margin still that you could have gotten had you done it a second time and paced it better?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I was completely out of breath. It was like 11 out of 10. So.
So it was the first one was a real test.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And for context, for how much do you weigh?
Now I'm weighing 106.
106.
106.
So
yeah.
Obviously, weight has a big impact on power output on the bike. That's important to consider. But I mean, anything upwards of 300 for a male competitor is really good. And jumping from 310, 312 all the way to close to 350 is very impressive. Let's say it's outside the standard progress that I usually see with the program. It's considerably more, because that's what, 13% improvement. So that's, yeah, I usually see, I was telling Pak before, between 7 and 12% usually. So 13 is a considerable amount. Let's talk about the bike sessions themselves. How did you tolerate them? How did they fit in with your program? And maybe, Pac, for context, can you tell us what you guys have been working on the training side more globally the last 12 weeks? And then Nathan can talk about how that integrated itself.
Yeah. So basically, we started working a couple of months ago and obviously set a bigger goal. Nathan wants to try to achieve the best possible outcomes. So definitely semifinals is our first big step that we want to achieve. He's 20 years old. He brings in a lot of good numbers already. It was a very interesting start because actually at the beginning, he was afraid of pressing up an empty barbell. He was afraid of pain. And now he's snatching 125 easily and clean and jerking 155. This is just crazy. And still, even though he was already strong, I was really considering starting with a strength block and a weightlifting block just to make sure we are fixing all the strength base, because I knew that when I talked to you that we have on the side at least 5 to 6 hours of conditioning training, basic low intensity conditioning training combined with those more intense sessions. So it made a lot of sense for me to keep it as simple as possible. And not do too much of gymnastics, complex, high-skill movements, get the conditioning ready, the base of the pyramids, get the strength ready. And now with all of that in our pockets, he's probably absolutely yet not the fittest athlete he can be, because now muscle endurance when it comes to gymnastics and all the other movements is still missing. But because we have that great base and because the recovery is so good due to the 12 weeks programming that he did with you, it made a lot of sense back in the days to have that long discussion with Nathan, with you, to have a strength block and the conditioning block running at the same time.
Okay, how did you live the conditioning and the strength at the same time, Nathan? Did you see any interference between the two or any drawbacks?
No, it was actually very great. Beck did that perfect for us, for all of the package athletes. In the first session, we only did the strength and weightlifting stuff. And in the second session, we also did the biking thing and sometimes a workout. So yeah, we could do them. We could do all the 2 sessions very well together. On 3 or 4 days every week, we did the biking, and those other days we had rest in the second session. So yeah, we could buy them very well together. Yeah, it was perfect.
Okay, and for anybody who would say, yeah, but you're going to see some competition between adaptations in strength and adaptations in conditioning, did you see that?
No, I didn't saw it actually. The only thing, that I saw was, when I did the for example, the zone 2 things, it helped me to recover from my weightlifting block. So
okay,
it was plus. Yeah.
How did your strength and weightlifting numbers move over those 12 weeks?
Yeah. So well, the first week I had a clean and jerk with 140, maximum 145, and after 12 weeks I did 155. So yeah, it went up also very on a very big number.
So everything's moving up, which is really cool to see, because I mean, for CrossFit, you're getting at a really interesting level with those numbers and with the bike numbers as well. It's great to see that even at your already high level in those 2 disciplines, weightlifting and conditioning, there's still room for improvement, and you can also improve both at the same time, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think something that's worth mentioning is, yes, he improved his clean and jerk by 10 kilograms, but he actually improved his snatch from 115 to 125, and we actually stopped. I told him to not try 130. He could have easily tried 130 at that day as well, and it would not have surprised me if we would have made it as well. From a coaching perspective, I just didn't want it to have that fail right in that area where we were in this strength block, and I wanted him to finish with that 125, which is really solid, and he was able to repeat that 125 throughout the 12 weeks a couple of times now, so that gives just a lot of confidence. But just talking about biking a lot, monostructural, sitting on the bike, your ass is hurting, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? It's so boring. It's so low intensity. On the other side, seeing both of those lifts going up by a big margin is just very impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Do you guys have any reference points on did you guys do any pure strength numbers too? Some squats and other
No, the max out of the squatting stuff is coming later, but he was able to cycle his old 1RMs in EMOMs and intervals very easily. Okay. So everything is just going up. So I'm very impressed, and I'm very excited to see. I think we have 3 more weeks left in the weightlifting block. Then we have a massive deload week where training is not the main priority. And it would not surprise me if the week before, when we max out, that all the other lifts are going up as well. Okay. Nathan, you mentioned feeling like you could recover better from your weightlifting thanks to the bike. Did you feel any other transfer between the conditioning and all the other work that you're doing in general?
Yeah, especially in the last weeks. Then the bike sessions became a lot harder, actually, like from 85% to 110%. So a lot of power output. Like 2 or 3 days ago, I did a qualifier workout for the Austrian throwdown, and I had a lot of wall balls and box jumps, etc. And actually, the only thing that fatigued was my breathing and not my legs. So I was like, okay, this helps a lot for me. Yeah.
So you felt the transfer from the cycling to those other movements?
Yeah. It was insane.
That's really good to hear.
I was not expecting that, actually.
Yeah, and I get that feedback a lot. That's why I ask, because obviously getting better on the bike is cool, but if you can, feel the transfer to your competition movements, it's even more interesting and more important. So that's really good to hear. And you say now that your breathing is limiting, so there's probably some work we can do there moving forward. Do you feel like you still have margin for improvement on the bike at this stage?
Yeah, of course. There's always room for improvement. Before this 12-week block, I didn't do the bike that much, actually. So this is the first 12 weeks of only doing biking. So I think when we're doing this for another 12 weeks, I'm gonna still improve. When we're doing that another time next year, for example, we're gonna still improve. I think. Yeah, of course. There's always room for improvement. Maybe not that much, but there's always room for improvement. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. And I definitely think that bike work for CrossFitters has to be considered as GPP, as general physical prep, and that's going to feed into your CrossFit training and everything else. And like Pac said, give you the base in order to work more, work harder, recover faster. Pac, you're on week 10, correct, of the 12 weeks?
Yes. You made me suffer a lot during this 12 and 8-minute interval block.
Yeah, the specific prep for the 20-minute is hard, very hard, but it's good to get you ready mentally too for those efforts that are coming up. How have you lived the program so far?
So basically, I started 1 week later than Nathan, and then I had 1 week where I skipped all the hard sessions. Why? Because I had a competition coming up. So I was just, for myself, picking just low intensity sessions in that week because I knew that I wanted to just do a couple more workouts, which then was the hard part during that week. The biggest improvement I definitely see is my recovery is way better. I saw that on the competition now. Between workouts, it takes me 10 minutes. I'm standing, I'm like, okay, I could do another workout. And that was never the case before. There's certain bodyweight movements where I always had a hard time because my heart rate was through the roof. I was breathing hard, especially burpees and these kind of things. They're still hard for me. I still hate them, but I can go through them way easier. And I can now really feel, and something that's very impressive for me, and I think that's also something that is going to be very interesting for Nathan, is when people start to do more CrossFit and they want to work on that very specific part in CrossFit, those workouts, and they start doing them, they're very fast running into a thing that they breathe very hard, they're panicking, the whole muscles are going to burn. And with all the high heart rate and all the breathing, you are focusing mentally so much on these two things that you're actually, not that you're forgetting about the muscle fatigue, but this is then also coming. But now, and I would say, let's say both of these are 50%, breathing and heart rate, and then muscle pain and muscle burning, and the muscles burning during the workout. But now I know that this hard breathing, the heart rate, all these things got covered in those 12 weeks. I'm in week 10, but with Nathan, they are covered with this 12 weeks. So now we can really focus on that, of that feeling of, oh shit, my muscles start to burn. I'm lacking the muscle endurance for gymnastics, because let's be honest, if you sit on a bike, you're not going to get good at toes to bars. You're not going to get good at pull-ups. So we will definitely have some muscle fatigue that we can now focus on, because we have all that high heart rate and breathing stuff fixed with your programming. And that's what I feel during the training. And that's also what I felt when I was practicing a couple more workouts. The only problem I literally had was my recovery was better. The only thing was I had muscles, obviously, because I started to do more workouts. I'm also in the strength block, and I'm also doing that 12 weeks programming. But now I know if we switch over, and especially that's when it gets very interesting for Nathan, is when we now switch over to tackle his CrossFit specific movements, and we have all that conditioning, everything is set, the base is there, and we don't need to panic about heart rate and breathing. We can really focus on, oh, wait a second, how does a movement really feel muscle wise? This is where it gets very interesting. And I mean, the last thing is just the mental factor. There's spiking sessions in there where I have my headphones on, and I created I need to send you a screenshot. I have a playlist on my WhatsApp, on my Spotify actually, that is called, wait a second, where is it? It's called Biking Hell. And there's songs in here. I just put them on because I know I need that. Here, it's like the middle one, Biking Hell. Yeah. Because I need to put that on, and then I'm completely zoned in, and it's just such a great mental training to push through those workouts and those hard biking sessions. So I can just really recommend it to everyone. And this is, I think, where we need to also split the people who are doing, I know I'm talking a lot already, but where we need to see a little bit of a split. What we're talking about here is Nathan, me, people who really are taking their sport to the next level. They want to do it in their free time. They want to train 8 to 9 times per week. They want to really professionally look at their training. It is not the most fun thing to do when it comes to biking. So everyone who's doing CrossFit as a hobby, everyone who wants to smash down workouts, yes, include low intensity training, because still it has a massive health benefit. But what we're doing here, because it sounds very boring what we're doing and it sounds very painful, but everyone who takes his training a little bit more serious has to consider doing this. And I love the fact that Nathan before that already said, like, yeah, I could do another 12 weeks block. Even though it's boring, it comes out of his mouth, and it's very great for me to see it as a coach, because I don't need to panic giving him something that is fun, because training at that level isn't fun all the time. There is that base work you need to do. Yeah, absolutely. Nathan, talking about those hard sessions, how did you live those 3x20 and 2x30 sessions? Because they're pretty long if we take it from a CrossFit standard, with CrossFit really living in that 3 to 20 minute range. Once you have sessions where your effective work time is about 60 minutes with a big warm up before and maybe even some added volume afterwards, how did those long sessions go for you, both mentally and physically? Yeah, it was actually for me a mental thing. It was for me a mental thing. Most of the times when I did, for example, the 30-minute hard run sessions, like the 85% for 30 minutes long, I was so in my mind, in my head. I was like, every minute I'm gonna switch my hand. So first on the top, then on the side. Those things to make it even more comfortable. But you becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable things. So when I'm doing some workout now, I'm like, oh, it's only 6 minutes. I did for the 40 minutes on 85%. So I managed the 8 minutes or the 12 minutes easily. Yeah, when you doing the long things helped me to become more comfortable with the shorter and more intense ones. Yeah, that's interesting. So you found a transfer even from a kind of perception of effort standpoint, and enduring for the longer blocks helps you now, because you see it's 6, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. It's short compared to the other. Yeah. Okay. Did you find that too, Pac? Same for me. I think you were asking about the low intensity stuff, right? Or it was the long, the 3x20, the tempo stuff. So the 80%. I literally have the same thing. 3 times 20 minutes is so long. And I have in my Biking Hell playlist, I have 4 songs, and I need to go them through. And I just do it different to Nathan, because I know, okay, the first one is over. This is the longest song. It's 5 minutes. And I even don't look at sometimes I just have my eyes closed for 20 minutes. The song is over. It's like, okay, 5 minutes are done. Then I have 2 shorter ones, and then I have a longer one. And it's just, I need some some stuff to do to get over those 20 minutes because it's so long and it also hurts, it burns. And it's the transfer is great because, like Nathan said, the other day I did a 9-minute AMRAP. Those 9 minutes were like, boop, gone.
Yeah, it goes fast. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add on this part of the program before we talk about what comes next?
Yeah, something that I would love to add, but I have no clue how to do it, is to if I would be able to make people feel what I feel. Just to it's the same thing when people ask me. I have an ice bath now on the balcony, which is very expensive, and everyone tells me like, "Oh, this is so expensive. Why do you buy this?" And then I was like, if I could make you feel how I feel due to the recovery benefits and all the energy that I have during the day, if I could do the same with the biking programming, if I could make people feel what I'm feeling on the positive side, that covers up all those minutes that you're sitting on the bike, I would love to do it, but I have no clue how. Maybe we do it with Nathan, because when he's getting successful, we can be like, yeah, there's that biking programming attached to it.
That's interesting. It's a used car salesman's kind of pitch, right? It's try it for 12 weeks, see what happens.
Yeah.
But
that thing,
get out.
Yeah, that thing, same thing for me. Also, back saying it's also the belief from the beginning that it helps and this works. On the first end, I was like, biking for 3 times a week. Yeah, who cares? But now 12 weeks later, I'm like, okay, it definitely does a lot with your conditioning and your health, actually. So, believe that it works, and it works twice as good, as you want it.
I don't know how it is with you, Nathan. I'm actually, and this is weird, I'm sometimes even looking forward to those biking sessions, because I know it is not going to kill me mentally completely, because I have to do like 5 intervals with very hard CrossFit movements. I know I have my 60-minute low intensity. It's not going to be hard, but I know I trained. I know I did a next step towards being fitter, and it's just great.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same for me. It helps me to become fitter, and also to know that when I'm putting in that effort on the bike, it will pay out on the CrossFit workout. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. When it comes to what comes next, Pac, you said Nathan still has 2 or 3 weeks on the weightlifting program.
I think it's 3 more weeks, and then there's a deload week, and then we're switching over, using that new strength towards more cycling, introducing more gymnastic workouts, gymnastic movements in the first 2 to 3 weeks, because those are the 2 to 3 weeks where I can pinpoint his weaknesses. And when those 3 weeks are over, we can then go into an even more individualized programming, because I need that to really fix his, I would say, mistakes or stuff that is not yet where we want it to be. Because basically the weightlifting block for everyone at the moment is fairly the same. And then I have 3 more weeks of the weightlifting block off week, 2 weeks of introducing more cycling and gymnastics. And this is where I can see like, okay, there's where we struggle. And then the very much individualized stuff is coming. And now it's coming to you, where you tell me like, dude, do another 12-week block, do more breathing, do more zone 5 stuff.
Yeah, I think it's, and that's why I was asking, it kind of depends where you're going to push things after the 2 or 3 weeks of gymnastics and cycling. Is it going to remain on some fairly general work, as in, focus gymnastics, focus strength, or is it going to go back into full-on CrossFit with a lot of volume with CrossFit type?
We will transition over, because obviously for him the season is based on the open. And when this stuff is over, hopefully he qualified for a couple of competitions. So basically what we need to do then, because we set the base with all the strength numbers now, until the open, we're going to ramp up towards making him the fittest possible at the quarterfinals, so that we can see how close or how far we are away towards the semifinals, by also including a couple of competitions along the way.
Okay. So what I'm thinking, just if we stay on the GPP layer of things, he did the Endure block, which I think is the best way to start, because it really gives you that foundation, that recovery, and that resistance to fatigue. And I think remaining in that GPP realm, switching over towards high intensity work on the bike. So doing those, my power block essentially, which is a combination of high intensity zone 5 type of stuff and some sprints work as well. I've seen some really good transfer from the sprint work even into strength and speed, like weightlifting stuff. But I think even just to keep developing down that path, I think it's always interesting to switch between those two blocks, right? Because you have all the work we did now, which is low intensity, and then say medium intensity, that kind of tempo threshold type of intensity. So call it heavy domain if you want to be specific. And then now going above threshold and going into, you know, the severe domain and the extreme domain as well with the sprints, to tackle that other side of things, which he's already good at. But now that we have the base, we can leverage that into those higher intensity workouts. And then looking even farther after that, 12-week, 13-week training block, reassessing, determining, you know, okay, well, how much time do we have until he needs to be in peak shape? Do we run that 6-month cycle again? Is it worth it? Or do we put in a maintenance amount of bike, which is probably going to be for a time the best option, so that he has more time for all the other skills he needs to develop and all the other competencies he needs to build, and maybe looking to do a slightly more specific, maybe even 4-week block just before the quarterfinals, so he's kind of tuned up on all the little details. But I definitely think moving forward from that 12-week endurance block, moving into a 12-week high intensity block, as long as you feel like it's going to be okay matching this with the other work that you'll be programming, I think that would be a good way forward.
I think he's the best indicator. He's very honest. We're having weekly updates, how he feels, and then I can easily, very quickly adapt things. And I think because we are still the furthest away from the very specific open combination movement workouts kind of stuff, I still believe that having another 12-week block of biking is a very big part of the journey. And I would say that in the end, taking, I don't know, 5 to 10% intensity out on my side, and I don't know, putting more strict work when it comes to gymnastics, it is amazing for me because strict work everyone needs. So I think it's a very good plan moving forward.
Okay, and for Nathan, you mentioned your breathing. You feel like that is now limiting you, or at least it's manifesting itself as being something that's being strained when you're at high intensity now?
Yeah, exactly. My legs are the thing that is the less fatigue, and my breathing is the most fatigue. But it's not that it's not that I can go anymore. It's only that is the most fatigue in the two.
Okay, so I think on that realm, and we'll talk after our flying guys, but I think for Nathan to combine the bike work with some respiratory training as well, and try to address that specifically, because now we've unlocked the legs. If we can unlock the breathing completely and keep pushing that with that high intensity cycle, I think after those 12 weeks, it'll be obviously 6 months of total work between the 2 cycles plus the breathing. I think he'll be in a really good spot in 3 months. And like I said, we can reassess afterwards, decide if he needs any more conditioning with that amount of volume, or if we can pull that back a little bit, keep a maintenance base, and then you guys do your work to get in top shape for the quarters.
Sounds amazing.
Nathan?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I love it.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time for that little call. Excited to share that with the YouTubes and for everybody to learn a little bit more about our collaboration and what we're doing. Pac, thanks so much for your support through all the work we're doing together. And thanks to both of you guys for pushing all those watts on the bike.
Oh yeah, there's times where we hate you, that is for sure.
I'm sure you do. All right, thanks guys.